Welcome back to the channel. Time for another Tools and Tech Tuesday. Today, I thought it'd be cool to talk about the PS4 and what it offers in accessibility options for people like myself with a visual disability. Now, I'm going to walk through step by step on some of these and point out some of the options, and I'll actually show it on the screen. And then afterwards, I want to point out a couple of things that I think are pretty important to keep in mind. So with that, let's jump right into it. So first, I'd like to point out that this is a 43-inch TV. This is a Samsung TV with HDR, and it has 4K resolution. When you first get your PS4, this is how it looks by default. Let's go into the accessibility menu and change things up a little. So you can see you can do text to speech. I haven't used that. Down at the very bottom, you have Add to Quick Menu. I have that turned on. So all you have to do is hit the PS button on the controller, and that will bring up your accessibility menu. You have the press and hold delay, so you can actually change how long it takes the machine to respond when you press and hold a button. Then you have the auto scroll speed, and this is when you have the text large enough that it needs to scroll, how fast is it going to go? If you're a slow reader, you might want to slow it down. If you're a fast reader, you might want to speed it up so you don't have to wait as long. You can change the button assignments on your controllers, and it does say that some controllers don't support that. Here's another one that I haven't used, but it's closed captioning. I imagine this is probably for people with hearing disabilities. Here's one that I definitely use. High contrast. Now with the high contrast on, you can see how much more visible it makes the letters. Bold text, that helps a little bit too. Large text, you can see how much larger that made it. Here's one that I don't use. Invert colors. Ooh, that's just harsh. Just to give you an idea, here's a quarter. And again, this is a 43-inch TV, so if you had a 50-inch, those letters would be bigger. Here's another one that I do use. Zoom. So you can zoom in by pressing the PS button and then pressing and holding the PS button, and then pressing this button, the square. So I mentioned earlier that there were a couple things that I thought were important to keep in mind. First, this TV has HDR. If your TV doesn't have HDR, it might look different, it might be harder or maybe even easier to see. Second, I want to point out that these options aren't going to show up everywhere. They'll show up in the things that Sony has made in the context menus and things like that, but they're not always going to show up like in games. Sometimes the game manufacturer might have a certain font set in there, and that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, the game manufacturer themselves have to make those things compatible with these accessibility features. And if they're not, it's not going to work. It's going to look just like it would without the accessibility features on. Third, I want to point out that Sony could always add features later. So if you're watching this in the future, it might be a good idea to Google something like Sony PlayStation 4 accessibility features, and then click on the news tab and see if there's anything that comes up that's more recent than this video, because they might add features. If you're watching this and you know of an accessibility feature for visual disabilities that I've missed in this video, please put it in the comments. I'd love to know about it. With that, thanks again for watching another Tools and Tech Tuesday. I will see you soon.